What's up? Hey, hello everyone. Today we are back doing a Heroes versus Villain Dreamcast. So basically what we're be doing tonight is we're going to be picking characters and people who we have seen throughout the seasons who would be perfect for another Heroes versus Villain Survivor season. So my name is Rachel.
And I'm Alyssa. Sorry that we didn't get to do this last week, guys. This was our plan for last week, but then I had to go out of town. But I forgot I was leaving until Thursday night. So obviously that didn't leave a lot of time to plan for a Friday night show. So, heroes versus villains. We're going to start with the heroes just because I think the heroes in Survivor are a lot harder to pick out than villains. That could just
Yeah.
be my personal opinion. So do you want to start, Rachel?
Sure. So this isn't really in any specific order by season or whatnot, but the first person I have on my hero list, we each picked 5 heroes and 5 villains for a total of 20 people for this season. So the first person I have is Carolyn Rivera, who was on season 30, the white collar, no collar, blue collar, red, blue
Blue,
collar. Oh my
blue
God.
collar.
They wore the weird colors that didn't match. Yeah. So yeah, she made it to the end because of Mike bringing her. Because we all thought she'd be out at Final Five, but nay, she kept on going. And Mike brought her to the end because he thought she was a very viable competitor. And yeah, she's like an older female, and she won immunity challenges. Like that was crazy. So I really feel like she could be on the heroes team and she should play again. She was on the ballot for season second chance and then she didn't make it on. So definitely I think she would be good if she played again.
So my first hero that I chose is Eric Reichenbach. He was in both fans versus favorites, and the first time he made one of the stupidest moves in Survivor history, if not the absolute stupidest. And the second time he was medically evacuated. So personally, I just want to see him play again and see him play against an entirely returning cast because the first time he played in the first fans versus favorites, he was at a disadvantage because he was one of the fans, and the favorites obviously made like an alliance. And then the second time he played, he was on the favorites, so he had an obvious advantage. So I'd like to see him in a more level playing field, and I'd also like to see what would have happened once he gained the strategic savvy and he wasn't medically evacuated.
Yeah, that would be interesting because like in some of the exit interviews from that season, Malcolm and them were saying like that Eric didn't really strategize on that season. So
Yeah.
maybe he gained some more savvy by now.
Maybe he's ready to be with Phillip Sheppard up there.
Yeah, he could. So next I said from season 29, either Reed or Josh. They were boyfriends on the show, and now they are engaged, I believe. So one or the other, I feel like would be really great. Both of them were out like early because of the like feud between them and then Jeremy. They had like a power throwdown there. But yeah, Josh was really good at the beginning. He seemed like, he was ready to fight, and then him and Jeremy had their battle, and then they both got at like one after the other, and then Reed took it, and then he was really good with the strategizing, and then yeah, I don't know. I just think one or the other, both of them on a different season, like they were good at the show and they like watched the show. So I feel like they could be the next Jeremy and do that kind of thing, being out early and then being amazing.
Cool. I agree. They were adorable together.
Yeah.
Um, so my second person is Joe Anglem. And I say this mostly because like people are going to be really upset, I think, if Joe doesn't come back again because he has such a rabid fan base. And
The
like,
teen girl fan base.
yeah. So I think there will be a real push for him to come on a third time just because like three-time players aren't as rare as they once were. And also, I think that like he acted really heroically both times. Like in the most recent season in Cambodia, literally passed out because he was trying so hard at a challenge. So I think that that's pretty heroic. And, like, every time he's played, he's done better. Well, I shouldn't say every time. He did better the second time he played than the first time. So I think it would be interesting to see if he would be able to get even further a third time. Like, if he would be able to, like, maneuver more about the fact that he's a physical threat. So
Yeah, that he's literally amazing at everything. How is he gonna hide that? Yeah, so going off of the 3-time players, the next person I have is Andrea. She was from Redemption Island with Boston Rob, and then she came back to the Fans versus Favorites season with Eric. They were there together. And then the first time she was voted off, and then she like did the Redemption Island, and then she came back on, and then like she was like really good, and then Boston Rob was like, nay, we gotta get rid of her because she's the one on the island actually thinking, and not just one of Boston Rob's goats on that season. So yeah, she was good. And then the second time playing, like she really had a Boston Rob-esque kind of vibe to her gameplay. And then she got voted out with an idol. Oh no. But yeah, I think she could do well if she came back again. And I feel like it would be a hero kind of thing because she didn't really not really do any evil things on the show to make her like a villain.
yeah. One thing that you said that reminded me, voted out with an idol, reminded me of James Clement, which reminded me all of these players that we're saying are players that did not compete on the first Heroes versus Villains.
Yeah.
So even though we would have liked some of those players to come back again as either a hero or a villain, we decided to make a cast of 20 entirely new players.
Yeah, and then we tried to pick people not on our last episode, that podcast that we did, which was first time players we would want to see again. So we try to pick some different people. So if you haven't watched that one, you should totally check it out after you watch this episode.
And we also realized that on the last one we made about one-time players we'd like to see play again, we mentioned a lot of boys and not a lot of girls. So we decided to try to make sure that this episode was gender balanced. So I think Rachel chose 5 girls, I chose 5 girls. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, my next hero was Jenna Morasca. She's the winner of the Amazon, and then she was on All Stars. And I chose her as a hero mostly because on All Stars she elected to remove herself from the game due to her mother dying of cancer. And I think that like one of the biggest marks of a hero is recognizing when you're in over your head. And I think that Jenna knew enough about herself to take a step back and realize that she needed to be at home more than she needed to be a part of the game. And to me, that was a really heroic thing. And I know that Jeff Probst says he doesn't like quitters, but I think there's a difference between quitting because you're uncomfortable and quitting because your mother is dying. And obviously Jenna was right. Her mom died, I think, 3 days after she got home. So I think it would be nice to see her play again without the whole emotional aspect of it where she's wondering whether or not her mother is still alive.
Yeah, I really liked that moment from that season. It was very bittersweet.
Yeah.
So yes, next for heroes I have also from Redemption Island is Grant, who was Boston Rob's right-hand man, sort of, besides Phillip Sheppard. But we don't know about that kind of alliance. But yeah, Grant, I don't know. He had really cool hair. He was buff. I think if he wasn't on the season with Boston Rob and everyone being so Boston Rob centric on that season, and then the whole other tribe getting gonged after they voted Russell Hantz out, basically that season was rigged because obviously if you put the 2 kings of the show, Russell and Boston Rob, in the season, one of them's probably gonna win because everyone else hasn't even played and they've played multiple times. So that was just, I don't know, not really a good season. Unfair for those people.
Putting returning players with new players without that being like the theme of the show is kind of.
Especially just one. If it's fans versus favorite, like those are still sort of rigged because both times the favorite has won. So yeah, I don't know. Just like I think anyone on that Redemption Island season could go back and win or play again because like Boston Rob really had that season under his control. Everyone was like being goaded by him, and then Boston Rob knew when to get them out.
I think we should like remove it from our memory just because it wasn't an interesting season of Survivor. But we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
So the next person on my list of heroes is Tosh from Tokyo and Chains.
Definitely.
And I think we all know what I'm gonna say here, but when she decided to go to Exile Island with her husband so everyone else could see their loved ones, I just thought that was really sweet. And she was overall just like a really sweet, nice person. She had a really nice personality, and like she didn't do anything that was bad. So I think she's a hero.
Yeah, I'd definitely say she's like one of the fan favorites from that season. Like Coach has played again, Tyson's played again, JT has, Fish just played again, like some Tosh needs to play again. But yeah, so my last hero is the Kelly Wentworth. Yay! I mean, literally, like she got voted out so early on her first time, and then she killed it this second time and second chance. 2 idols, like she's so amazing. She's such a fan favorite now also. Like I don't know, she should play again.
Like everyone loves an underdog story.
Yeah, and everyone had her like so underrated. They're like, this blonde girl's not even thinking out here, but she was. It's like so amazing. I don't know. She'd be definitely like a hero because she was the underdog. She was able to fight back through the witches' coven. Like, I don't know, amazing. And then she didn't even get to the final 4, so.
Who knows? So, my last hero, this was mostly like a joke just because it went along with some of the other players that we chose from Kara Moen. I chose Francesca Hoagie because I think it would be hilarious if she got voted out first for a 3rd time. And B, I just want to see if she can actually play the game. Like, I think it's so funny that like she could come back for a 3rd time and still not play the game for as many days as someone who's only been on once.
Yeah, true. I feel like the only way she would not be voted out first if the villains tribe lost and the heroes tribe won immunity, because if the heroes tribe like lost immunity, even if she is in alliance, I'd be like, let's vote her out because it'd be funny.
Yeah. So I think it would be funny, and when we get to the villains, I think you're gonna understand that a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe you should start with the villains then, because your next choice would explain it perfectly.
So my first choice for a villain is Phillip Sheppard, which makes the Francesca thing a lot funnier, at least for me. So I think that part of the thing about Phillip is that he thinks he's a hero, and I think as soon as you start thinking you're a hero, you become swayed more and more towards villainy. And like there were a lot of times where he was really rude and disrespectful of other people's feelings. Like when he and Brandon were having that argument, he refused to take any responsibility for the argument. And I understand that Brandon was the one who got violent and took it way too far. But like it takes 2 people to argue, and he kept acting like he was being the better person or whatever. And generally, he just pissed everyone off. Like, everyone went along with the Stealth RS thing because they thought that it would, like, get them in his good graces, and yeah. Also, he was, like, Boston Rob's right-hand man, and Rob played as a villain, so.
Yeah, and then, like, Phillip and Rob literally made that season so bad because there's so much drama around Phillip being crazy that, like, I don't know. It created such a divide between the 2 tribes. So yes, my first villain pick would be the Abby Maria. I don't know. I think she got sort of better this past season in 31 with like not being as crazy, but she was sort of crazy at the beginning with the whole PG bag thing. But then, at the merge, she sort of dialed it down until like she just became really like wishy-washy seeming. But yeah, seeing her like legit labeled a villain, like then she can like be crazy and then own up to that kind of title, and just that would be really interesting in the season to have her with all of these other kind of villainous people.
I mean, part of what Abby said about her second chance is that she felt like she really didn't get a fair second chance because everyone came in with this preconceived notion of her. And I think for Abby, it might be better if like everyone came in with the same preconceived notion, not only of her but of 9 other people as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like it's easier to label yourself a villain when there are 9 other people there who are also labeling themselves villains.
Yeah, then we could have a cool villains alliance. Villains are us.
So
yeah, your next one.
I chose Todd Herzog. He was the winner of China. I don't know. I don't think he did anything like he wasn't like a super villainy villain, but he was duplicitous and yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
sort of like Courtney came back for the villains. I can see that. Todd was laughing at Courtney's impressions about Jean Robert.
so like he's not like a Russell Hantz, but he's not like a saint either. So
Yeah, maybe like a DL, a villain on the DL.
yeah, like he's a villain who I could see like maybe aligning with the heroes if it came to that. So
Yeah, that would be really interesting. And like going off of that, my next one is Jim Rice from the South Pacific. And we were saying some of these people in our last episode, so sorry about that we're talking about them twice. But yeah, Jim, I feel like could be great on the villains. He was like, the marijuana dispensaries, got it right this time, right?
not meth.
Yeah, but like after Cochran flipped on their team, he was sort of really rude to Cochran, which, we could see because they could have been the final 5 with Cochran and stuff, but nay, Cochran flipped. And so, yeah, Jim, I don't know, he just has that like villainous vibe to him, just the way he looks. I don't know.
I mean, I think a lot of Americans would consider him a villain because he sells marijuana. And you know how some people are. So my next villain would be Amber Mariano. She played as Amber Burkitch, but then obviously she got married to Boston Rob.
Cute.
And so part of this, I'm just thinking when Rob played on Heroes versus Villains, he was a villain, and they played pretty much the exact same game. So I don't see why there would be any difference between him and her as far as the classification of the villains. But yeah, like she didn't do as much backstabbing, but she was integral in the plots that the backstabbing was a part of. And yeah, I just think it would be interesting to see her play again just because Rob has played so many times. And I think that a lot of people would target her because of that. So
yeah, true. Because they have 2 million from Rob's winning, her winning. They have like 4 daughters. They went on the Amazing Race.
the 2 free cars. Don't forget about those cars.
They got a lot of stuff. Yeah, so my next one, I mean, I wouldn't really want to see him on TV again, but I think he would be good TV, maybe. He would be, but it would be Dan Foley from season 30. Yeah, he'd definitely be categorized in the like villain category because of his comments and stuff. I would have put Will on this list, but I really do not want to see Will on the show. But Dan would probably never be invited back either, but he'd definitely be a villain, and I don't think he could win. He's just, yeah. No words to describe Dan.
I concur. So my next villain is Richard Hatch, and I don't think this really needs any explanation. He's Richard Hatch, and he was supposed to be on the first Heroes versus Villains, but he wasn't allowed out of the United States because
Tax evasion.
he was on parole because he he failed to report his income from winning the first season of Survivor, so he got thrown in jail. And then when he got out, his parole officer wouldn't let him leave the States. So
That's
yeah,
villainous.
it would be so interesting, I think, because he was villainous in the game, and he was villainous outside of the game. And I just think that, like, in the first time he played, I think he was like the puppet master, and then the second time he played on All Stars, there were still a lot of people who weren't like his caliber of player. But I think after 31 seasons, there are people who are much better players than Richard Hatch, but I think his cockiness would keep him from realizing that. And yeah, I'd just like to see it happen.
Yeah, like literally on the first episode of the first season ever of Survivor, he was like, I'm the winner of this show. And then what do we know? He is the winner. Like he predicted it. Crazy. So my next one is from season 29, and it is Missy. She was on the Blood versus Water season with her daughter Baylor. And yeah, I feel like she'd fall into the villain category. I don't know. Her and Missy were just sort of annoying on the show. Or her and Baylor were just sort of annoying on the show. And then Reed's amazing, really like eloquent final tribal jury speech, like saying it's like she's the wicked stepmother and stuff. It'd be really interesting to see if like Reed or Josh went back on the show to see like the relationship with Missy, how like you want the Phillip Francesca like relationship, the Reed and Missy like showdown would be neat.
Mm-hmm. So my last person wasn't so much a villain as like just like totally off the wall, insane.
Crazy.
So I chose Jatia Taylor from Brain Beauty Brawn. You may remember her as being the one who dumped all the rice in the fire and then was not voted out that night at tribal council. What the actual heck?
And
Like what the
even
actual heck?
What's her job again?
She she did something with nuclear stuff.
Nuclear engineer, is that what it was called?
And then Spencer was like, the idea of her being a nuclear engineer is actually legitimately terrifying. And I agree with him. She was crazy.
She was pretty crazy.
And she was also like really bad too.
No, like she couldn't even swim and whatever, like she was about to drown on the show. And then she maybe that's why Brains lost so much. Yes, so the last villain that I have is Joaquin from season 30. I feel like he could fall into the villains category because on the first episode when they had to pick either like the clue to the immunity idol or like the big bag of food for the tribe, he and So picked the immunity idol clue. So
and then they lied about it, and they are such bad liars. Oh my god, there was a neutral option.
Yeah, I know. I feel like you can't really lie like that because everyone knows like it's either like food or immunity idol. Like there's no way people you can get out of that.
And if they were gonna lie about it, they should have like thought of their lie before they went back to the tribe.
Yeah.
Like they should have both been on the same page about their lie.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not a good situation to be in because even if you do pick the rice, people are going to be like, oh, there's probably an even bigger bag of rice that they didn't pick for us or something, you know? But yeah, Joaquin also has that sort of look to him. He looks sort of like a villain. And then
he looks like a Bond villain with like the black hair and everything.
Yeah, he looks cool. And then just like he was like, I don't know. He shouldn't have been voted out like when he did. He was just voted out because he was being too buddy with what's his name? Rodney. And like, They were just so blue strong the whole time. It was sort of bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think part of what a thing is some of these players wouldn't be interesting like on their own, but I think when you put them all together, like some of the personalities on the villains tribe, ugh. In the first heroes versus villains, the villains were like, oh, the heroes are gonna implode because of their egos. I think on this version of heroes versus villains, the villains would implode because of those egos. Because like put Phillip Sheppard and Abby Maria Gomez together.
Oh man, that would be golden. And then
It would be golden, but it would also be terrifying.
Oh my god, that'd be great. And it'd be really interesting to see like the heroes won the first time. Let's see. I mean, the villains won the first time. They had 3 villains in the finale. Like, let's see if the heroes could pull it off.
Well, part of that was because Tyson was stupid.
I know, yeah.
Tyson.
Hey.
But yeah.
Alas.
I really hope that they do a heroes versus villains thing again, just because I think they have a lot of people that are like ripe for the picking.
Yeah,
like, when we were looking through, we each found like extra people. Like I found a lot of male villains.
Me too.
And like, I think that it would just be really interesting, just because last time it was super like fun, just because we had never seen it before. So.
Yeah, I feel like definitely it's bound to happen again sometime soon, maybe in the next few, because they just did an all returning. They'll probably wait a few before they do another all returning. And then they're gonna have enough people soon to have like a all winner season. Because a lot of people probably be like, nay, I don't wanna play again, like the older ones, and then but I feel like soon they're gonna have enough people willing to want to play again that are winners.
I think part of it also is like they ended up doing brains versus beauty versus brawn for this approaching season because they picked the cast and the cast just fit into those categories. And I think that it might be something like where if they want to do an all returning season, they might like pick out a list of people they want to return and realize that like, oh, they're all either heroes or villains.
Yeah.
As for the all winner season, I think that's going to be really interesting because like a lot of their winners have played like multiple times. Like I wouldn't think that they'd bring back Rob or Parvati just because both of them played like an insane number of times. And I know that there's some people who've won who said they don't want to play again. Like
yeah,
I know
definitely.
that Tom Westman didn't want to play again. I don't think Sandra wants to play again.
Yeah, why ruin that streak for Sandra?
Yeah.
2 times 2 wins.
I do not think that if Sandra played again, she would win again. She would be the first one out, hands down.
Yeah, definitely. If it was all winners, she'd be probably one of the early ones out. And then, because like in the first, like, All-Stars or one of those seasons, they were like, let's vote you out because you are a winner. So it's like, if she's the only one that's won twice out of an all winner, she'd be like, let's vote her out because she's won twice. Because she's like, if everyone else has the equal playing field of winning once, then that's obviously the odd thing out.
Plus, I feel like all of them would be really embarrassed and have really bruised egos if she won a third time.
Yeah, they can't let her to the end because people just vote for her and be like, that'd be funny.
3 times. First 3-time winner of Survivor.
Yeah, then no one can break that record.
I mean, they could. It would just be really freaking hard.
Yeah, it'd be really hard.
I think we were talking about this once, weren't we? How hard it would be to be a 3-time winner. Because first you need to get on to survive for 3 times, which is hard enough in itself.
And then you have to win, which is definitely not an easy feat to accomplish.
I think I calculated it once, and the chances of winning Survivor 3 times are like 1 in 1,000. And then if you have a 1 in 1,000, ugh, it's so complicated, guys. We went off on this whole tangent. I am so sorry.
Yeah, still better chance than winning the lottery, but alas, I think it's time for us to go. So, I mean, Thank you all so much for subscribing and watching these podcasts. It means so much to us. And definitely, we will see you guys next Friday with an all-new podcast.
If you guys have any ideas for what you want us to talk about, you can leave it in the comments. Right now, we're pondering doing like our best seasons and our least favorite seasons. So that might be happening next week. So keep you posted. We love you. Tune in next Friday around 9
Oh, no,
o'clock.
next Saturday then. We're busy next Friday.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Next Saturday
Next
at night,
Saturday.
9 Eastern. Oh, no,
See you later,
Siri's trying to
friends.
talk.
Mwah.
Bye.